Hi there, I'm Barb Owen of HowToGetCreative.com, and I'm here today to answer the question, what is art journaling? What is an art journal? You know, what it really is kind of a big, broad category that's hard to define, and that's why people get confused about it. So I thought what I would do is show you some of my different art journals and explain to you what they're for, and maybe that will answer the question. So let me show you right off the bat one of my favorite art journals. This one is one that I created myself. I stitched it, so this is stitched on the side, from watercolor paper. And by the way, if you ever do this, don't do what I did, which is to put some charm thing right here in the middle until you're all finished with the book. Then add your charms and stuff, or add them at the bottom or the top where you can flip them out of the way, because this is still driving me crazy. The book isn't full, but every time I try to work on it, this rolls. So don't do this part. I highly recommend that you don't do that. Anyway, this was made from watercolor paper, and this particular art journal is all on one subject. So this is about creating different kinds of mandalas. So this particular art journal is all about one subject. So an art journal can be like that. An art journal could be something like this, which is going through a book, a specific book. And this happened to be through Art at the Speed of Life. This is my book, following the exercises from Art at the Speed of Life by Pam Carricker. And I didn't do all the exercises in the book, but I did quite a few of them. And so I created, again, this is a book that I made. And so this book is all about working through the exercises from a specific book or class. So you can use an art journal in that way as well. Just, you know, to explore or work through a book so you have all of your stuff in one place from a class, which is a great thing to do. Here's another one. This is a very inexpensive book. This is a composition notebook, and so you can see it's just lined paper. These are inexpensive books. Could be any kind of a notebook. I prefer the composition notebooks for something like this because it's a stitched book. So this is stitched and the pages don't fall out. This particular book was when I worked through a class or a daily prompt, and this particular thing, this was by Kyla Givehand that she did several years ago, and this book was all about prompts for journaling, and also journaling as in writing and also as in art prompts. So through this one you'll see a lot of writing, and you will see places where there is specifically art done, but a lot of writing. So some people don't do any writing in art journals. Some people do a lot of writing in art journals. And I go in phases where I do that kind of thing. Sometimes I have lots of writing. Sometimes I don't have any at all. But you can see different experiments depending on what the prompt was. And just lots of little things, whatever they were, for the prompt that day. Lots of little art pieces here and there, but lots and lots of writing. So, this is a really inexpensive way to get started with art journaling. If you're not sure where to begin, get yourself a composition notebook or some inexpensive notebook that's stitched. I think these are available in different countries, maybe under different names. I put a cover over the top of it, and that became this particular journal. This is the same thing. This is also a composition notebook, and I've covered it with paper this time. The other one was covered with fabric, and I'm doing exactly the same things, except this time I'm just doing the art journal pages, not so much in the writing prompts and those kinds of things. And sometimes I will glue pages together, and in this book I've put 2 pages together to give a little more heft to the paper, because this is thin paper, and so it gives a little, it makes the paper a little more rigid. But many of these things in this particular book are about exploration of technique, exploration of supplies, working things out, artistically speaking. This is working with the miniature jelly plates on here. And so lots of pages left in this book to fill up. Again, composition notebook, very easy way, and for the most part, inexpensive way to work artistically, just to explore things. This is another composition notebook, and this one is covering lettering, the subject of lettering. And as you can tell, I stick things in here in my journals all the time, so not everything is attached to the journal. But this is just exploring different ways to use lettering and taking notes in some classes that I took. This was from a Joanne Sharp class. So this, and sometimes it's testing out pens. This particular book I worked from both directions. So you can see even more. Just all different kinds of things about lettering and ideas. So this is a specific subject in this particular art journal. So this is all about lettering, and that's all this is. It's just different ways to use letters and quotes and alphabets and things like that. So this is another specific subject, letter practice. So that's what this one is all about. This art journal this came from a class I did on 21 Secrets quite a few years ago. I do not remember the teacher's name, but this was all about using scraps. So it's a very scrappy kind of journal. And then I took this journal that I created. So it's all different kinds of things with paper scraps and paint, and even there's fabric in here as well, and stitching, and it's just an eclectic mix of all different kinds of things. And then I use that to put this happens to be my son. This happens to be something where I've collected all of his little memorabilia things, and I've put them in this journal. So all of the things that are in here are removable. So everything that's about him I could take out. I've put, so the art journal itself then became kind of a scrapbook. So you can use them that way as well. So create the art and then turn it into a book where you keep information. Another way to use an art journal is as a sample book, and I try out lots of techniques in my art journals. So this is all about different kinds of glues, and this is all information that I've used in other classes. So this is testing things out, testing out different ways of doing things. This particular journal is like, this has tape in it that I made. This is all about ways to use different kinds of techniques and stuff, and testing, testing things out. So it has nothing to do with making pages nice and pretty. It's just about testing things and looking at them and trying different kinds of texture pastes and ways that I like them. And occasionally you'll find something like this stuck in here, right? That's what I've done in this particular journal. So this one is just about techniques and trying stuff out. The same type of book, both of these are the same kind of book. So this is a visual journal by Strathmore. So this is a ready-made book. It's intended to be used for art journaling. And this one I've actually created art journal pages in it. And I like to use words and image in my art journals, and so that's what has been done, what I've done throughout this one. So this is all about expressing myself and using perhaps color, perhaps paper, sometimes there's fabric. It's just about, to me, words are very powerful. I use a lot of words in my art journals. I also use a lot of techniques and things like that. But this is more about, this particular journal is more about the a full page and covering the page and doing whatever I wanted to do. So this is an expressive journal for me to do pages in. So that's what this one is. Sometimes my art journals will take more of the flavor of a scrapbook sort of thing. That's what this one is kind of about. Or self-exploration, which is what this is. Going inside and exploring different kinds of subjects within. So that's what this one is more about. So you're going to see art, but you're also going to see a lot of writing and so forth. So this one is more of an introspection sort of journal. And then there's a lot of stuff in here where I've had extra things, extra. Perhaps when I was teaching a class, I had extra ink, and so I inked it, slapped it in here. Some of them don't make any sense at all. They're just, and this one is one of those where it really doesn't make any sense. It's just doodling and just sticking stuff in here just to see what happens. And sometimes when I write things in a journal and I don't like it, I will black it out, which is what I did here. I wrote something to express myself, and so I blacked it out. And then sometimes I just put color. I love color, so I just put color in here. This is all about I like these images, so I stuck them in here and made a page about it. It's about self-expression. You can also purchase art journal types of books. This was a ready-made book called Collage, this journal. So you can buy things like this that guide you through the process. If you're not sure where to begin, you can buy a book. There's a whole series by, I think it's Carrie Smith, that's called Wreck This Journal, that guide you through the process, a simple process of art journaling. This one is about collage, but very interesting pages. A lot of art has already been done, and then it's about you adding your touch to this journal. So you can buy ready-made books, such as Collage This Journal. This is by Eleanor Shakespeare. So a really nice way to art journal that way. Another way to art journal is to buy a book in a used bookstore. That's what this one is. So this is a used bookstore book that I smeared some stuff on the outside. I liked it because it was a leather, kind of a leather type book, leather bound type book, fabric in the beginning. And this is just, I started this in January 2011. I don't have it finished by any means. And this is just, again, about lots of writing and lots of expressing myself. So that's how I use art journals. Some people use art journals just for art. They will use them for sketching. They use them for a collage. They use them for all different kinds of very specific artistic things, or working out a process that they're then going to use on canvas or that sort of thing. These, I don't tend to do that. I tend to explore color and pattern, and sometimes a card will inspire a whole page. This was about a bunch of roses I got for Mother's Day, and so I did a whole page based on that. These are photographs of the roses that I had. But you can see back here, this is what the book itself is all about. So as I'm going through, I'm covering up. I may save some of the images, and then I may cover them up. So this is a book that I purchased and turned into an art journal. This is another one. This is a sketchbook. So this was a purchased sketchbook. Sketchbook paper is very lightweight by comparison to most of the journals that I use. I even got it on sale. This is a Strathmore premium recycled sketchbook. And in this, I do things like swatch out pencils and pens, and so I can see what they look like. Because this is not really an art journal, but it's a journal. It is an art journal, but it's not one of my favorite art journals. And this has just got a variety of stuff in it. Some Zentangle patterns. Playing around with Zentangle. Playing around with sketches. This was a colored pencil sketch that I did, another colored pencil sketch. So, and mandalas. So this is just all different kinds of stuff. And in the beginning, I have, you know, goofy faces that I've done and things I wanted to keep and playing around. So this started out to be a face journal just for sketching faces. And so I played with a lot of those things, and then it just went from there into who knows what, quick sketches, you know, pencil sketches, ink sketches. So this is more of a journal that is just, you know, ideas for something I want to do in the future. Just a lot of blank paper. So you can work in these kinds of books, but they do not, the sketchbook or drawing paper books do not take a lot of water. They will warp and do crazy things. So know that if you work on lightweight paper that you're going to experience that kind of thing. This is a great big book. This was a book that I bought. It was a blank book that I bought. It's really a big one. I altered the front of it. And it's big enough that I have to kind of turn the pages off camera. This is kind of a raw journal. It is not, the pages are not necessarily pretty by any means. This is really exploring a lot of writing, because that's typically what happens in my journals, a lot of writing and a lot of processing of, this particular book is a lot of processing of emotion. So it's an art journal that in this case is not a pretty art journal. It is about a healing process and about working through a lot of very heavy emotions for me, and what those emotions look like in color and stroke and image. So you can see that as you go through this one. This is also drawing paper or sketch weight paper. So this one does not like, this paper is pretty thin. It doesn't like a lot of water stuff, a lot of water, like watercolor and acrylic paint and things like that. The paper will warp. But to tell you the truth, I don't care. That doesn't bother me at all. Whatever it does, it does. Because that's just, you know, kind of like, I'm just exploring stuff, so it doesn't matter. I'm exploring feelings. I'm working on those feelings and getting them out of me, and that's a lot of what I use my journals for. This is just random background things, random leftover paint and stuff, stencils and that kind of thing. So that is what this journal, art journal, is about. Now, not all art journals have to be in books, and so I wanted to show you as the last example. This is an art journal that's in a box, and this is all loose leaf pages. And this, everything in here these are all illustrations from a book that I wrote. So I'm just going to flip. I guess we should turn them around so you can see them the right way, huh? That would be helpful, wouldn't it? So let's turn it around. So, for example, these are all images for a book, and this is an art journal. It just happens to be lots of single pages. So I'm just going to flip through these so you can see them. But this is a journal. And each one of these images was very specific, and you'll see, not where I was testing out pens and that kind of thing, which is fine with me. I don't mind that I have, you know, testing and so forth. This was sketch paper, and it does not like wet stuff, but a lot of this is colored pencil. But each one of these pages is a specific, is illustrating a specific thing. So in this case, this art journal was created for a specific purpose, which is to illustrate a book. So every page, every page has its own specific purpose. But collectively, the entire thing, when it comes together, and I put all the pages together like this and stack them all up like so. I just put them all back together, and then they all store inside this book, inside this box. So this is an art journal, but it is an art journal, again, for a very specific purpose, and it lives inside this box. So the question, back to the question, what is an art journal? An art journal is whatever you want it to be. You can use it to express yourself through the written word with some image or color. It can be image only. It can be the exploration of art supplies and techniques. It basically is whatever you want it to be. So, did I answer your question about what is an art journal? I may have raised more questions than given you answers, but that's kind of how it is. The big thing about art journaling is there aren't any rules. Don't let anybody ever tell you that this is what an art journal is. It only meets these certain criteria, and it's only an art journal if you do X, Y, and Z. Not true. Do whatever you want to do. Express yourself in whatever way you want to. You don't ever have to finish them. You can use any kind of book you want. The important thing is just to start. And I think you'll enjoy the process. If you've never had an art journal before, just start and enjoy it and just see what happens. And don't worry about it. If you don't like it, then take some gesso or paint and paint over the page and do it again. Or tear it out. You can do that too. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas about art journaling. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in more of what I do and more of our classes, you can check out HowToGetCreative.com. We have lots and lots of creative arts videos there that span a wide variety of creative subjects, from sewing to needle felting to drawing and painting and art journaling and so forth and so on. A very wide, broad spectrum of creative arts. I'm Barb Owen of HowToGetCreative.com. Remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching.